Hi, I'm Maggie from maggiescrochet.com, and what I have here is the Puff Stitch Baby Bunting. It's an adorable pattern that I designed years ago. It's actually one of my very first designs, and the pattern number is PA784, and it's available at maggiescrochet.com. But what I wanted to do in this video was to show you how to do this puff stitch, and I'm going to call it, in the video, I'm going to call it a rainbow puff because of all these colors that are on here. And we had an email request come in from Wendy Heineken. So Wendy, this video is for you. So let me show you how this stitch is done. Alright, so the stitch is actually a multiple of 4. So whenever you have a repeat pattern, you can create anything you want with it, as long as you increase, as long as you have a multiple, you know the multiples and the extra that you need. So here's a little sample that I worked up. And so this is going to be a multiple of 7 plus 4 plus 2. So the 7 comes in, you have 4 stitches right here, 4 single crochets, and then there's 3 stitches for the little puff thing here. And then at the very end there you have to have an extra 4, and then you have to have 2 for the turning chain. So your repeat is 7, so you have 4, 5, 6, 7. And then you have an extra 4 at the end, and then you have 2 for your turning chain. So the multiple, you can chain any amount as long as it's a multiple of 7 plus 4 plus 2, well, which is like plus 6. So for this example, I am going to do chain 14 and then chain 6. And you want to choose whatever your background color is going to be, and mine's going to be white. That color will stay attached through the whole thing. It's this row that you'll change colors all the time. So anyway, let me start. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So there's my 14. Then I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, 6. Okay, so now I'm going to double crochet all the way across, and I'm going to start with double crochet in the 4th chain from hook. So I have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that's where I want to go in. And I learned this nifty little trick. I usually just go in the top loop right here, but it makes a nice finished edge at the bottom if you go in that back bar right there. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go right here. So I'm going to do this really close for you. Here is the oval part of the stitch, and see that little strand running down the middle. Well, you turn it towards you and you want to go in that stitch right there. So I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to go in that back bar of the chain. And then what that does is it gives you those 2 loops left on the bottom, and that really helps if you're sewing pieces together. So I'm going to go in the back bar. See, there's the 2 loops, and I'm just going to turn it towards me so I see that back bar. So just, I'm going to speed up right now, but I definitely will slow down when I need to. So I'm working double crochets all the way across like that. And there is my row of double crochets. Now I'm going to chain one turn, and that's the turning chain there, and I'm going to turn like the page of a book, and I'm going to work in both bars of this across the top of the stitch. Now I'm going to go underneath those two, and I'm going to draw up and make a single crochet in each double crochet across. This is a great pattern stitch to work up using your scrap yarns, because every row doesn't take up a whole lot of yardage, and you can make every row a different color. It'd be beautiful. Oh, see what I did there? I missed a single crochet. So if you're more of a beginner crocheter, you might want to count every single row and just make sure your stitch count's right, because it's heartbreaking to get, you know, further along in your pattern and not have the right number count. Sometimes you can fudge it in, but sometimes you have to tear back, and that's not good. And make sure you do a stitch on top of your turning chain right there, because that's where a lot of people lose stitches, is on the sides. So it should look really straight like this. Now I need another row of white double crochets, and I'm going to teach you another little trick that I do. Instead of a turning chain of chain 3 and turn, which is normally what you see in the pattern and what's written in this pattern, I am going to show you a different thing. You just chain 1 and turn, and you work a double in that first stitch. And that keeps the side really straight, and you don't have that turning chain kind of like bulking out of the side, you know, leaving a hole. So now I worked a row of doubles. This is my right side, you can see that. And this was the wrong side, and that was the row of singles. Now I'm back on the right side, and I'm working a row of double crochet stitches all the way across. I do have a video that shows you how to do a double crochet stitch. I'm using a tulip Edamo hook, which is available at maggiescrochet.com. It's one of my favorite hooks. I've got my yarn over here on the side, causing me a little trouble. Okay, I think I got a solution. Okay, so when you get down to the end of the third row here, what I want you to do is to put this on a stitch marker, this loop, and it says in the pattern to drop the stitch, but you need to put it on a stitch marker like this, And this is the right side of the work, and all the puff stitch rows are worked on the right side of the work. So I'm going to start with pink here, and I'm going to start with a slip knot, which is a ring. Then I take that top strand, put it across the back, and I pull that back strand forward. And I usually leave like a 5 or 6 inch end so that I can go back and sew that in. Okay, now with the right side facing, I am going to work a single crochet stitch in the first double crochet. And I showed you how to do a chain 1 and turn and then work a double crochet in the first one. So I actually have 2 loops there instead of a turning chain that I can join with a single crochet into the first double crochet. So to do that, I have a slip knot on my hook. I'm going to go underneath those 2 loops. I'm going to yarn over like this, draw that forward, yarn over, and draw through 2 loops on my hook. And that's joining with a single crochet. Now I want 4 single crochets right here. So there's 3, and then there's 4. So now the directions say to single crochet in each of next 4 double crochets, which is what I just did, and then it says to puff stitch around the 5th single crochet on the single crochet row, which is row 2. So, and then it also tells you what a puff stitch is. So I need to go find my 5th single crochet stitch. So this is number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's on row 2. So this is the stitch I'm looking for, and I'm going to work a puff stitch around it. So to do that, I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to go from this side to that side. I'm going to go from the front to the back, and then from the back to the front. I'm going around the side of it, kind of. It's like a raised double crochet, but I'm working it in. I'm working a puff stitch into the single crochet. So I had my yarn over my hook. I'm going to draw yarn over and then draw that loop up, and I'm going to draw it up so it's even with the row that I'm working on right here. Then I'm going to yarn over again, and I'm going to hold it right here, and I'm going to go down and work another loop out of that same single crochet. So I'm going to yarn over, pull that up even. Now I've got 5 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over and draw through all the loops on my hook, and that makes a puff stitch. Then I need to skip the double crochet behind the puff stitch, so that's this one right here, and then I'm going to single crochet into this puff stitch right here. I mean into this double crochet. So I'm going to work a single there. And now I'm going to work another puff stitch just like that into the same single crochet. So I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to go back to that same single crochet from this side, I'm going in from front to back and then back to front, back out this way, and I'm going to yarn over, draw that loop up, and bring it up even with the row that I'm working on. Then I'm going to yarn over, and I'm holding this up here, and I'm going back into the same stitch, and I'm going to yarn over, draw that up even with the row that I'm working on, yarn over, and draw through all 5 loops, and that's my second puff stitch. So you see I have a puff stitch and then a single crochet between them and a puff stitch. And where I work the puff stitch, I'm not working in the double crochet stitch that's behind it. So if you notice right here, this is where I put my single crochet. This one I'm going to skip, and this one here I'm going to work a single crochet. Right there. See? That's how I create those. So now I'm going to have 4 single crochets that separate the puff stitches. So I have 4 at the beginning, 4 between them, and then I'll have 4 at the end. So now I'm going to work my second puff stitch of this row, and what I want to do is find the, now in the directions it says single crochet and next 4 double crochets, skip the next double crochet and puff stitch around the single crochet below the next double crochet. Alright, so it said to single crochet in the next 4 and then skip this one, and you want to look at this one, and then you want to single crochet around, you want to work your puff stitch around the single crochet right below this stitch right here. So it's almost like there's a single crochet between them, so I would go in this one right here. So you're going to yarn over, you're going to, okay, so this one right here would not be the right one to go in, because you're going to skip this because your puff stitch is going on an angle down to here. So if you look at this on an angle, like with your hook like this is the stitch you need to be in. So you're going to skip this one and you're going to work the puff in the underneath the stitch right here, underneath the double crochets. Okay, so you yarn over, and I'm going in this one. Yarn over, draw that up even with the row you're working on, yarn over, do the same thing, drop a loop even with what the row you're working on, draw through all the loops on your hook, skip that double crochet and single crochet in this one like that, and then go into the same single crochet, work around that, work a puff stitch around that again. So you're going to yarn over, draw that up, yarn over, go back in, yarn over, draw that up like this, and then draw through all loops on your hook, and there's your next puff stitch. You skip the next one, and then you single crochet in the last 4 double crochets. Like this, and see, this is where I have the stitch marker right here on this. So I want to work the last single crochet until there's 2 loops on my hook, and then I am going to take the loop that's on the stitch marker and I'm going to put that on my hook. I can take my stitch marker off right now like that, and then I can draw that through the 2 loops on my hook, and that way I've changed to the main color. And then with the main color right here, I am going to chain 1 and turn like this. Now this I can cut off, because if you're going to do the same color, you could leave this on and every other row you pick up this color again. But if you're going to be doing a lot of colors, then you could just cut this one off, and I'm going to show you how to do the next color. But I would just cut this one off and just leave that strand hanging and then sew it in later. But right here I'm going to chain 1, turn, and I'm going to work a double crochet in the first double crochet instead of the chain 3, turn. And all I have to do here is to work a double crochet all the way across. I mean a double crochet in each stitch all the way across. I think I said double crochet in every stitch, because some of them are puff stitch and some are singles. Now I'm on the wrong side of the work, so all that's going to show up on the wrong side is that. Okay, now when I get down here, Now that I've established the stitch, I'm actually going to be doing every other row in a puff stitch row, and then the alternate row is going to be a double crochet row. So to add my new color, I'm down on the wrong side here, and my new color is going to be this green color here. So once again, I always have my stitch marker handy. We have those at maggiescrochet.com too. And I'm going to make a slip knot. When I get to the last double crochet stitch of this row, I have 2 loops on my hook. I'm going to add the new color, and I'm going to finish that stitch with the new color. Then I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to single crochet in the first 4 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now this time, once you establish the first row of puff stitches, you don't have to worry about where your next puff stitch is going to go, because it's going to be the single crochet between these 2 puff stitches every single time after you establish this first row of puff stitches. So that's a nice thing. You don't have to worry about like the first row. So you want to make sure that your first row of puff stitches is really on track number wise, and that you land up with 4 stitches at the end. If you don't, then you know that something went wrong. So anyway, back to the puff stitch. So now I'm going to go around the single crochet stitch that is in between the puff stitches. So I'm going to yarn over. I'm going to go from this side to that side around the single crochet. I'm going to yarn over, pull that loop up even with the row that I'm working on, and then I'm going to yarn over. I'm holding all these loops here. Then I'm going to go in the same single crochet, and I'm going to pull that loop up like that, even with all the loops need to be even with the row I'm working on. See how it's even with the top of these single crochets? I'm going to yarn over, and I'm keeping a lot of tension on this side here, and I'm going to go through all 5 loops on my hook. Then I'm going to skip the double crochet stitch that is behind the puff stitch, and that would be this one right here. Okay, that one right there I'm not working in, and then I'm going to work a single crochet in this one, and then I'm going to work another puff stitch around that same single crochet right there. So I'm going to yarn over, go back through there. I want to make sure all my strands stay in front of that puff stitch I just did. And I'm going to bring that up even, yarn over. I'm holding my finger here, going back in the same place in front of the other one, and I'm going to yarn over again, draw that up, yarn over, and draw through all the loops on my hook. So there's the second puff stitch. Isn't it beautiful? I love it. Okay, so now you want to skip the double crochet that's behind the puff stitch, which is right here, and then you just go into the next 4 double crochets and you work single crochets. Alright, this one's not working out too good. You know what I did? I didn't get all the strands back there. Okay, so you work 4 single crochets before you do your next puff stitch. Okay, now you yarn over, you're ready for your second puff stitch, and you're going to work around the single crochet between the previous row of puff stitches. You're going to yarn over, bring that up even with the row you're working on, yarn over, hold that, go back in, yarn over, draw that up, and go through all 5 on your hook. I need a manicure. On this camera, every little thing shows up. I think that it doesn't, but it does. Okay, so I'm going to skip this double crochet, and I'm going to work a single crochet right in this one, like that. Now, once you get the hang of this, it's not that bad. Okay, yarn over. I'm going in front of that puff stitch I just worked, but I'm in the same single crochet. And I'm working around the post of the single crochet. Sometimes you have to kind of fight to get this up even with where you're working. Yarn over, go back into the same stitch like this, draw that up, yarn over, and draw through all those loops like that. Okay, so now I don't want to work in the stitch, in the double crochet behind the puff stitch. And I'm going to work a single crochet in the last 4 double crochet stitches to finish off this row. Okay, there's my second row of puff stitches. So when I get down to this row, the white's not here, so I'm just going to work a chain. I'm going to tighten that chain, and then I'm just going to cut that color off, and I'm going to go back to this other side down here, to the opposite side, and I'm going to turn it to the wrong side. No, I can turn it to the right side. And I'm going to go underneath these 2 loops, and I'm going to pick up the dropped white, like this. I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to chain 1, it's a loose chain 1, and then I'm going to work a double crochet there in the first stitch. And see, that'll stay real nice and even on the side here. You can go ahead and do your chain 3 if that's what you're used to, and the chain 3 would be like this, 1, 2, 3, and then you wouldn't work in here and you'd work in the next one. I'll show you the difference. See, there's a hole there. Okay, so if you just chain 1 loosely and you work a double there in the beginning like this, alright, so I need to go, I'm going to double crochet all the way down again. Well, actually I don't need to double crochet down again, because what's going to happen now, well, I'll go ahead and do it. Okay, so when you're working your white on the right side, this is the one where you need to just put this end in a stitch marker when you're on the right side with your double crochet row like that. Okay, then this is where you would join your next color. Let's just say it's the pink again. But I showed you how to do this in this pink row right here. But I would put the stitch marker here when your main color row is on the right side like this. You're going to put your stitch marker down here. You're going to join with a single crochet on the right side like that. So then you'll work this like I showed you how to work this one here. So it just keeps repeating as long as you want to do it. And this would make a cute scarf because the back side doesn't look bad. It would almost be like a reversible design because you'd have stripes on the one side and then the puffs on the other side. And it would be a really cute afghan. You just have to do a multiple of 7 plus the 6. So, you know, you could just work up a little swatch like I did here and then measure it out, and the average afghan is 45 inches wide by 65 inches long, so that you know here I did 2 repeats and I would measure that and say, okay, well 2 Or you could just measure 1 repeat. You could say 1 repeat equals 4 inches, and then divide 4 inches into 45, and that gives you about 11. So you'd have to do 11 times 7, which would be 77, plus the 6. So in worsted weight yarn too, it's got to be in the yarn that you're going to use. So that's how you would scale this up for different projects. And like if it was a rug you wanted to do, or a table runner, it all depends on what the width is that you want, and then you just keep crocheting it till it becomes the length that you want. So I hope that you understand that. Okay, so I hope that you subscribe to my channel. We're coming out with new videos every single week. And our Facebook page is Maggie's Crochet. Our YouTube channel is actually Maggie Weldon. And visit us at maggiescrochet.com for all the supplies that you saw here, except for the yarn, I think. But anyway, I hope that you shop with us at maggiescrochet.com. Thank you very much for watching.